You are listening to All Burgundy and Gold, everything with the urban sports scene on Fox Sports Radio 96.9 FM and 1340 AM. Hopewell, Virginia. Wole and Mo are your hosts. Ray Cheesy is out. Joining us as a guest is Aniba from the Burgundy and Gold Report. Adam, it's been a minute. What's good, my dude?
Man, thank you for always having me on. You know, you've always been a big supporter of the Burgundy and Gold Report. Man, it's always a pleasure just to come on, just to chop it up, just talk about new projects, just different things going, man.
Hey, Adam, man, I see that you have a new podcast project going on, man. Would you like to tell our listeners about it, my man?
Of course, man. This will be our sixth draft this year. We expanded. We started, our virtual website in January. You've seen our player prospect cards. Everyone can follow along, even players with other teams. But, it was only a natural transition that we, came up with a podcast. So, B&G Report Happy Hour. It's just going to be that laid back atmosphere. It's like no drama, no controversy. We're going to focus what's actually on the field. I'm a part of Sidelines Washington. We'll have different guests, from Washington, even fans, stuff like that. And, the controversy always finds its way. And I'm cool with it. But, if you listen to me, you read my stuff, you see, I'm just about the evaluations. And so I really wanted to bring a show that not only focuses on that, but, lets you into my world a little bit. I'm an old schooler, we're old schoolers. A lot of these guys were around are, 20-year-old, 30-year-olds. I'm 43, but, I'm young at heart. And I'm trying to let my readers in and Washington fans into, my way of life, especially for football. It's all about football. But this is an opportunity, these will always be posted, that 6 o'clock, 7 p.m. hour where people are coming after work, just looking to wind down, maybe listen to, someone on the way home. The point is there's so much content out there. I wanted to bring something like even the after hours, you listen to it late night. It's really going to, you grab your drink, grab your party favorite of choice, just, relax, listen to football. We're going to get into a range of things, betting, fantasy football, awesome. Washington. Awesome. So we're going to touch on a lot of things on the show. We won't be doing guests in the beginning, but that'll be a natural progression. But, we're really just going to be focusing on, again, with Washington, we always look on the player aspect of it, not the, all the other goings around. So it'll be really cool. But the B&G Report Happy Hour, you can go and subscribe to it now on YouTube. As soon as the first episode drops, you'll see that. So, yeah, looking forward to that coming out, guys.
Will you be on like podcast platforms like iTunes, Google Podcasts, stuff like that?
For right now, it's just really about getting the content out there. So YouTube, but yeah, everything else will come, in time. I'm new to the game. I've been on shows. Like I said, my guys on Sidelines, Rio and Parker, that, they'll definitely, I'll, whisper in their ear, try to figure out, some of their, how they're doing some of the electronic things. I'm all new to this. I'm just a writer, football evaluator guy, but yeah, ultimately, but YouTube, it seems like that's the way to go. So that's where I'm going right now. And, we'll go from there.
Okay. And is it just going to be you or going to have like a host or it's just going to be you doing your thing?
It's just going to be me. Like I said, it's just going to be, I've created a whole set. So it's going to be not just like what you see me now. I've created a scenario in my attic. That's a place I spend a lot of time in, with my friends chilling. But again, it's just going to be me talking about football. But again, it's just going to be that atmosphere where it's just not so serious. Because I feel like a lot of shows going on, especially on game days after the team loses. I know I'm a guy that I don't want to listen or really read anything. So I'm trying to figure out what can I provide that people are going to want to, read, watch after a loss. And I figure this is the ultimate way to get down, get your drink, whatever you need, just talk about the positives, not like to a point where it's like unicorns and stuff like that. It's just about like truly what are the positives? What are we taking away from the Washington wins? Because no matter what happens this year, we're going to be able to take away positives, especially the way the defense is trending. But, this is something to look forward to because I think right now all the people that work around the team, people, Julie Donaldson, Jason Ray, all these, they're making themselves available to the fans. I think that's great. And I think Sidelines, which I'm a part of, it's great to have that avenue. I'm the other side. I'm not really working for the team. I'm a guy that's just, Danny Johnson, AGG, a couple guys that I projected the Redskins and now, Jared Patterson. So I think I have a pretty good track record and, just looking for fans to tune in, maybe, have some stuff to talk about with your friends, nothing too crazy.
Yeah. I try to get Julie Donaldson on the show. She don't like me. She must not like me.
Oh gosh.
Hey, subscribe to our podcast on Spotify, Stitcher, iTunes, and Google Podcasts. Just search All Burgundy and Gold Errrything with the Urban Sports Scene. Also tweet us at Urban Sports Scene and hit us up on our Urban Sports Scene Facebook page. I'm not everybody's cup of tea, so I get that. I dig who I am. Hey, it's time for the pregame. Here's what we have on tap. We'll recap the Washington football team's preseason game against the Cincinnati Bengals and their final preseason game against the Baltimore Ravens. But before we get into that, Adam, I want to make sure you send me a link to that first YouTube stuff so I can share it too, okay?
Definitely. Oh, definitely.
All right, bet. All right, so last Friday, the Washington football team defeated the Cincinnati Bengals 17-13. What were some of the positives that you took out of last Friday?
I like to see. I was impressed with some of the younger guys that were hoping to, maybe see some action. Your guy from Michigan. I think that you should have a little more hope in Khalil Hudson now, because I think that's a guy that's a natural rotation linebacker. It is what it is right now, but I think he's a guy that is going to thrive in front of this defensive line. But all in all, you got to walk away, happy with Landon Collins, the DBs, and just like everything that we've seen thus far. Again, it's preseason. My focus was more about, some of the missteps, some of the misreads between Fitzpatrick and some of the wide receivers. I know some people have gone a little, too much into that. I think there's something to be said for him being off, especially, Humphrey was wide open in the end zone. But the thing is, what we don't know on the outside is sometimes that was a misread on him, or he ran the incorrect route. So there's a lot of scenarios and situations that go into it. So preseason has to be taken with a grain of salt. But, with everything that they're putting in Fitzpatrick right now, I wanted to see more from him. I wanted to, the De'Ame Brown downfield catch, that was a thing of beauty, but it was more about a nice catch and a nice throw. So, I'm a Heineke guy, so I have no problem with Fitzpatrick starting the season, but I just think all in all, I think a guy that can improvise might give him the better chance. But again, health is going to be an issue all around. And even though Fitzpatrick stayed pretty healthy, I don't know how confident people should feel about his long-term health, at this stage of his career. So.
Yeah, I think Coach Rivera said something about that pass. He said that he was a little bit amped up. I think it was the overthrow. I think he was a little amped up for those two passes. It wasn't just the one to Humphreys. It was a couple other ones, right? It was one to another receiver. I can't think of who it was, but both in the red zone. But yeah, I'm with you in terms of some of the positives. I thought that Landon Collins looked good. Looks faster, to be honest with you, than he did last year.
Yeah.
And that's crazy coming off an Achilles to look a little faster. So usually I feel like an Achilles injury is the death injury of all football.
I'm holding my breath still. I'm still holding my breath.
Of course, yeah. It's just preseason. It's still preseason. Right. Then you look at, again, I mean, I feel like a proud father, man. AGG, man. You know what I'm saying? I was just so impressed. I was just so happy for him because sports is confidence. So a lot of it's confidence. A lot of it is how if you feel you that dude, if you have skill, you can produce. And you could tell that kid lost some confidence. You could just tell, like you could see it. But then to have that type of game when he mossed it for that 2-point conversion and some of the big plays he had after the catch. To me, it's giving him confidence because people forget. I'm not comparing him to this individual, and I said this before on another show, but we forget like what happened with shut up. We forget what happened with, like, I'll use an example. Terrell Davis when he played against the Green Bay Packers in that playoff game, where he dropped everything. Like he dropped everything in that playoff game, and you could see him losing confidence, but Steve Young pulled him to the side and was like, "Yo, I'm still coming to you." Yeah, Terrell Owens. I'm sorry, Terrell Owens. What did I say?
Davis.
Sorry, Terrell Owens.
I got what you meant because we talked about this last time I was with you.
Yeah, Terrell Owens. Steve Young's talked to him. He was talked to him. He was like, "You know what? I'm coming to you. You still that guy. You still that guy." And this is when he had Jerry Rice. He had Stokes on the squad. Those two dudes were very, very capable wide receivers. But he's going to Terrell Owens on this particular play. And Young made a great throw. Terrell Owens made a great catch. And from that point on, from that game, it uplifted him to be the player that he is. Before he, a Hall of Fame player. I'm not saying that this is the same thing with AGG. What I'm saying is that a good game like that could propel him to kind of get to the potential that we all see that he can be. And that's the thing that I think that was good for him. It's a good thing for that kid. He needed it.
Well, AGG, yeah, exactly. He just needed a little more confidence. Like I said, you coming from the small school level, there's always going to be a struggle. But between him and my guy that I'm really excited about, Patterson. Now I don't know how I didn't start the show talking about him
Oh my
because
God, he's amazing.
I've spent the most. He was the first evaluation I did before this draft, and to see when undrafted was crazy. But then everybody I reached out to, they all said he did not show that he had hands, and I said, man, I never saw them really talk about Maurice Jones-Drew like that at UCLA because he was, All-American. I think when you're at that All-American level, no one's really looking at you. But people told me he dropped to the second round in that draft because people thought he would be a first rounder if he was a little taller and he displayed his hands at UCLA. So in the end, you're talking about a three-time All-Pro, finished his career, was it over 11,000 plus, but 3,000 yards receiving. So I think that Patterson, that's the ceiling we're looking at right now. And I think he's coming into me with more confidence than any rookie on this team. And the fact that he's an undrafted guy speaks volumes. So that guy, I think, out of everyone, I think there has to be talk about the run game because everyone is talking about the receivers pass game. I think it's great. But do we have that franchise guy yet? I definitely don't think so. And I think this team will only have success if the running game gets going. And you got to have more than Gibson, McKissick, and I think Barber's the odd man out. So I think Patterson is the natural fit to be in that rotation.
I will say what's about Patterson, which is like dope. I agree with everything you said about Patterson. I think he's amazing. And a lot of people are so. I mean, if I'm a football player, if I'm a running back in a running back room, forget Barber because Barber. I agree with you. I think Barber should be shook. But I think everybody in that running back room should be shook. And I'm not talking about losing your job, but losing touches. Because again, I've said this before. Like when you watch him play, and I don't care anybody who's watching this pod or watching the video or listening to the pod. He is the most instinctive running back on the team. And he's the best running back. Sure. Says again, running back who understands everything on this team, who understands, who sees a hole, who can make a cut, who makes someone who can understand setting up blocks. He is the best running back.
And he's strong. He'll be a solid pass blocker in time to give him time.
So exactly. It's just not you look at him, he doesn't, compared to Gibson in the look, Gibson looks the part. Right, in terms of the build and whatnot, he looks the part because of height and everything. But Patterson is the best pure runner on the team. Now, if Gibson improves, that's fine. But I'm saying so everybody on that better not get hurt. Right. Like no, anybody on that better not get hurt, and gives that kid more opportunity to get touches, because then jobs will be lost for real.
Right. But I think everything we keep hearing is they want AG to be that McCaffrey type. Man, that's some large shoes to fill. Yeah. And he is not, McCaffrey produced in college at a running back. We're talking about a guy that's a receiver still making the transition. Now his teammates are spread out across the league, from Memphis. He's got, one running back with the Cowboys, now another one in Philadelphia. These guys are all receivers learning to play running back. So I think the door is open for Patterson. And again, I think we keep hearing about that turf toe for a reason, because he's in the training room. It's going to be an issue. And for a guy that size, it's concerning. So the reason I keep bringing up Patterson is not just to clout, but it's like the fact is he's right now the best. Thank you for saying it, because nobody has said this on social media. They just said he'll be maybe the third or fourth. I said, no, McKissick's also a receiver that's better used, jet sweeps outside in the receiving game. But Patterson, that's the guy you want to pound between the rocks, 4th and 1, 4th and inches. No QB sneaks. Give him the ball. That short frame and that lower center of gravity is going to get us the yards that we weren't getting in years past. So it could be the difference between a win and a loss. So I think the offensive line, they can get it together enough where Patterson he's a north-south runner. If he not this outside cute shit. If you get him doing that, he's going to do what he did in that game. If someone said, "Oh, well, look who it was, Kent State or whatever it was," doesn't matter. It was still a college level team that he had. Combined, I think it was 700 plus yards all purpose or whatever it was, but the kid's dangerous. So I think that the more ways you can get him on the field, the better. And I say we're seeing it with the return game. They're figuring how they can get him the ball, because if he can get a bowling ball just going north-south, he's hard to stop with the head of steam.
Mo, it's on you, Mo.
I think you guys have said it all. I think you guys have said it all. If we're particularly talking about Patterson, someone that I'm familiar with, being from the PG area, and knowing some folks that know him, people were really, really surprised he didn't get drafted. I know some homers that said that he was the best running back in the draft, and I was like, oh, okay, I understand. I was like, okay, I know where you're going with this.
Sorry, ATM.
But let's stop. You know what I mean? But let's stop. But like you talking about talent, you're talking about bang for your buck. You're talking about probably the best offseason move outside of the draft. I think
one undrafted free agent signing. One.
Right.
That's him.
Yeah. He gets on this field, like you said. Somebody's going to be at home looking for a paycheck.
Seriously.
Yeah, he's going to be at home. So like, I don't think there's much more to say about him, man. The vision is there. The power is there. He doesn't have like long speed, but he has enough speed to get where he needs to get. And because he's such a decisive runner, he doesn't waste any momentum. Everything is north and south. He gets where he has to get, gets to the second level, and then he's just like a cannonball at that point because you don't see where he shot out of, right? And he's up on the linebackers quick, and no corners want to really hit him. There's a handful of safeties that really want to drop that shoulder and get that low to have to hit him. He's going to make an impact. And what I loved about him was the added value that he gave himself of returning kicks in this last preseason game. If he's doing that, you can go ahead and just lock him in for the team, and deal with it.
I'm like, he better be a lock. I don't even think it's a question. I'm hearing stuff. Yeah. Every time I hear about, he solidified his roster spot, I'm like, this shouldn't even be a thing. Like, we shouldn't be discussing this. Like, to be real,
they're not good enough in the room. That's the thing. It's like it's not only about his talent level. Are they good enough in his room for him not to be on the team? The answer is an easy no.
They're not.
Come on, offers available. So.
You can't, like, he's arguably, he's arguably one of your, if you keep him. Well, you are going to keep him. What am I saying? If he's the best, he's one of the best offensive players on your squad.
When Chase loves him, don't forget that.
Yeah, Chase loves him.
That's a big one. You got to keep your franchise happy,
And man, they went to high school together, man. They go back.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I'm just saying, I'm just saying, like, he's one of the best. He's probably one of the best offensive players in your squad. Wow. It's not to me when I hear it. I'm like, come on, stop it, folks, stop it. Like,
well, I think that reception, that shoestring reception, I think any questions like, is he going to make that play for you? Yeah. And this kid's hands are so underrated. Because I was watching a high school film and it was in Buffalo because everyone said he's going to drop in the draft to late day 3. Mm-hmm. And I put him, I stick to the 4th, 5th round because I said I watched his high school and everything he was doing with these screens and he would just get lost. It was just like part of the seas and he was just next thing gone. Like you said, there's no wasted movement, straight line speed, and that's what he does. And that's what Washington has been missing for a while now. I think, you look at Alfred Morris, we could be talking about similar ideas, one cut, north-south, that's what they do. And I think with Alfred Morris, he got a little more attention during the combine. If the combine did happen, I'm telling you, Patterson would have got that invite and he probably would have gone 4th, 5th round and Washington would have totally missed out. So I think there's some positives to not having that combine. And, I think once they saw their roster, if you can only sign one undrafted free agent, that pretty much tells you they love their roster right now. Then they're willing to, roll into next year. So I think with the running back room, as shaky as it was, the fact that they got him and really didn't waste their time with anyone else, I think from the get-go, I think it was his job to lose, to be honest.
Mm-hmm. I definitely agree. So for you, what are some of the negatives you saw within the performance?
The offensive line is a concern. The offensive line is a
concern.
And,
they play bad.
We're going to keep talking about play calling. That's again preseason. I can't focus on that. Week 1, we'll talk again because I want to see how far the maturation has come with Turner. What is he going to do with all his weapons? Because now, my opinion, he has no excuse anymore because you've really provided him with guys that are 4.3, 4.4. One of your slowest receivers, right? Of the 3, is a 4.44 guy, and you got a running back like Gibson. So I think that you have an opportunity to line up personnel in the field. It's going to be able to run past, and it's going to confuse teams. And the predictability has been one of the major problems with Washington. Getting John Bates. I think that nobody's talking about him. Reyes is another good story, a guy that came on late, but that's not going to be the guy. That's the developmental guy. Bates, he's going to be a guy that's going to surprise people early on because teams are not going to focus on him. He's more of a blocking guy. but when he's on the field, you can lob it up to him. With his wingspan, it's like 7'2" right there. So I think you've got the weapons, and teams are going to have a lot of trouble lining up with us. So it's just about protection. And that's why I said I'm nervous about Fitzpatrick, because I think when it bears down on him, he's not that confident. And Heineke, if he can stay healthy, that's all it is, because everyone's saying he was running college stuff. Every time the pressure got, he ran. No, this is preseason, and he's behind backup offensive linemen. That's called a business move. It's not called, just taking what you can get. So that's what I really got. There's guys that I respect on Twitter that kept saying that, and I take exception to that, because he's been in the league for a while, and although he's bounced around, he's a very high football IQ. So he knows when he has bad protection, he's going to make plays. I think on 3 plays, he had a combined nearly 33 yards or 28 yards, whatever it was. So I think to have him as a reliever, I think it's the Miami situation in a way. There's no pressure if Fitzpatrick has to be that long-term guy. So I think no reason you can't go back and forth. None of these guys are franchise. We're hearing in San Francisco. They're talking about Garoppolo and Trey Lance. We're going to see Trey Lance getting some packages. I think maybe not that much. It'll be his job soon. But in Washington, none of these guys are long-term, in my opinion. I think these guys are backup long-term at best. So I think you roll with it, and you see what you can get out of both of them this year.
Mo, what's your thoughts?
I think you're very, very high on Heineke, but what I'll give you is that you did lead with that. I'll give you that you led with that. I think that Heineke, he was 11 for 13, right? That's a high percentage, but he only had like 80 yards passing. So
right.
it wasn't much there against a porous Cincinnati team, against the backups to the porous Cincinnati defense, right? So I think that in the previous game, I didn't think he looked good either. So I don't think that Heineke's put together good tape the past 2 weeks in terms of preseason football. Even though we know preseason is vanilla, preseason is not trying to show too much. I understand all of that. And yes, the offensive line played not really good the other night, and he was getting out of there to make something happen. But right. Heineke against the good teams and where this schedule is going to go this year, I don't know if there's any amount of money. I don't even want to spend Wole's money on that at the betting table. You know what I mean? I don't want to do that.
Yeah, like I got long money now. I got long money now. What you talking?
What I'm saying is, like, I won't spend a dime of mine. So I definitely. I wouldn't even spend somebody else's dime, you know what I mean, on that. I want to see.
Just how much of that you're going to spend on Fitzpatrick too, because that's what I keep coming back to. It's about situation. It's not all about being so high on Taylor. It's about the situation does not, burst with confidence that Fitzpatrick is not going to lose you games. He's going to win you games, but he's going to lose you games too, because there's situations where he's just going to take a chance and unfortunately might backfire. Taylor Heineke, he's gonna make plays that are gonna be like, whoa, why did he do that? But again, the Tampa Bay game, it's such a short resume. As an evaluator, I always caution it's got to be 5-8 games. He doesn't even have that total. So this is a lot of projection. But again, I always lead with the disclaimer: if he can stay healthy, because what this league is trending on right now is fast linebackers, coverage that's cheating all day long. And this really plays into what he likes to do, because if you can get those guys on a bad angle, he eats them up on the sidelines. And that's where he gets those 10, 12, 15 yards a pop. And honestly, he's not a 300-yard passer. Okay, that's not what he's ever going to be. But what he's going to be is he can be a 300-yard combined guy for you if the offense is put the right way. And again, we talk about system. I don't like him in 90% of the systems. But someone said, well, I think was that NFL and a former GM. He said, I believe he's one of the best 32 quarterbacks. People were laughing at it. Why? You're saying Jameis Winston has blown you away in New Orleans. I think he's okay. You're talking about the Colts, their situation.
Excuse
so
me.
You would sit here and say that Winston hands down beats him out in a competition. Both know the playbook. Both come in. It's not even a question. Come on.
Heineke? Yeah, I think James Heineke. Yeah, I think James Heineke.
The question easily. I didn't say it would be tough and then Winston win easily, because that's what was posed. The former GM that he could be. Denver. We're talking Teddy Bridgewater and Locke. You know, I'm not talking about guys coming in and being the top 10 echelon. We're talking about guys that are gamers. He looks like crap in practice. He looks like crap in a lot of preseasons. But when, you know, the Tampa Bay game, I will look at that because I've watched that game so much and watched it their linebackers. And that game, although it's so small, the decisions, the choices he made, and the pressure that Tampa Bay brought him, that was a Super Bowl caliber defense. Granted, one of the linebackers was missing. That's a big deal. But the plays he made, I think they're putting people in two crops: the homers, the hot this thing, or people that don't. I'm in that middle ground that understands when you don't have quarterbacks, you have to be innovative. And you're talking about a couple teams in the NFL that I think, he's good enough to go play with. Jameis Winston, that dude would scare me all year long. You want to start him on your fantasy? Go ahead.
I would always. I mean, I'm a James guy, so we're looking at the wrong person. So I mean, I guess like people are. I'm the minority with James. I think James. Well, this is a situation. James in the right situation, so that's a whole different argument. But in this situation, you know, I like Heineke too. It's not like I dislike Heineke, but I think I'm gonna take. I like Fitzpatrick more. I like Heineke, but it's not a knock. Right. I like Heineke though. It's not a knock that I don't. To me, it's just something that we look at Fitz. This is the problem. The issue with Fitz is like. Not the issue with Fitz, but how people view Fitz, the detractors with Fitz. And I get what your point, you know, that the offensive line isn't.
I'm not one of them. If you read my article when he first signed him, I
know. I'm not saying you are. Right. What I'm saying is that with Fitz, because I hear to get this argument with other folks, right? Is that we gotta, you know, it's because of Fitz's background, we kind of look at him in terms of what he is currently. How he started. But we look at the last 3 seasons of Fitzpatrick, right? The last 3 seasons. And all we're going to be factual and we're going to be creatures of habit. And we're going to talk this up about how is somebody trending. If we're going to be fair, right? The last 3 seasons, he's been good Fitz. For 3 seasons, he's been good Fitz. Like, so a lot of times people say, well, you know, it's still Fitzpatrick. I'm like, for 3 straight seasons, you've been somebody else. You can only, and this is real, when you go and say, well, he's Fitz, you're speaking of something in the past. It's just like, all right, if I look at a sport, like I go basketball player, because I evolve, I'm a basketball player. If somebody is dropping, they say they were dropping 5 points a game from 1 to year 6 or 7. Then all of a sudden for 3 years, they've been dropping 20, 30, 20 points a game. Who are they? For 3 straight years, they're the person who dropped 20 points per game. They're that person. When you get them in year 4, what do you expect? You expect them to drop 20 points a game. Because 3 years straight years, it's not like you did it in 1 year. Then you could say, they fluke. You know what I'm saying? You gave me 3 in a row of good play. So that's the reason why I like Fitzpatrick for this team. He's a vet for 3 years. He's been a good football player. He's been a good football player for 3 years, and not on great teams. To be honest with you, I'm spitting facts.
Stop this madness, man. The man had like
3 straight years. 3 straight years.
What is good then? What is your bar?
What's good? Okay, so name me your quarterbacks who are just good. Forget elite. I'm not talking about elite. I'm saying good quarterbacks. This is the thing. Name me their quarterbacks on playoff teams that haven't put up the years that Fitz did in 3 years. And they're on better teams, bro. They're on teams with defenses.
Wole.
All right. I'm going to wait for your argument. Go ahead.
Fitz's last 3 years are an improvement for Fitz because 17 and 12, 20 and 13, 13 and 9, those are not great. Those are not good seasons. There's an improvement for him because he's a turnover-laden quarterback.
Say the stats again.
17 touchdowns, 12 interceptions in 7 games in Tampa.
What's the completing percentage?
66.
Good. Next. That's good. Next.
20 touchdowns.
Yes.
13 interceptions in 2019 in Miami in 13 games.
And with Miami, with Miami. With no 62. Number one, with no number one, I'll take that.
Parker's there.
Don't do that. Don't do that. No, don't do that. Because name me Devontae Parker before him. Don't do that. See, this is what I'm talking about. That is my argument right there. See, this is what I'm talking about. When people want to be fair, when you want to be fair.
That was Devontae Parker's best season of his career.
You said Devontae Parker? Are we doing this?
Devontae Parker had 1,200 yards that season. The year before, without Ryan Fitzpatrick. Who was he? No. It's the year.
They're all with Ryan Fitzpatrick. He's been nothing. Don't do that. He's been nothing. He has been a bust. Don't do that. Again, I'm going to say this again. If we're going to be fair, if we rate a quarterback for what I'm not even the biggest Ryan Fitzpatrick fan. You're making me into a Ryan Fitzpatrick homer.
2013 is not good.
No, it is. It's solid. No,
2013 is not good.
When the gets started, that's what happens. It's like, here. Man, I'm looking more at like Tony Banks, Werfel. Like, this is what situation we're in here. So to me, really, it's funny because we have to talk about quarterback. But man, there are so many more positions in this team that are going to win games than quarterback.
In the last two segments, Adam, we have said that Heineke is better than Jameis Winston. And we have said that Fitzpatrick is a good quarterback.
I said 3.
That's
not my argument to get you going back my argument. Look what I said. My last 3 years, he's been a okay. Where does he rank within the last 3 years of quarterbacks? Rank of the quarterbacks, where he's in that list in his last 3 years. And I can name you in terms of quarterback play. He's better than a lot of quarterbacks within the last 3 years.
It's no way Fitzpatrick in the last 3 years.
I love Jameis. I love Jameis. I love Jameis. I think Jameis is better.
It's no way
the last 3 years, Fitzpatrick been better than Jameis. And I like Jameis. This is the point. I'm a bigger fan of Jameis in the last, and you're talking about Jameis. The last 3 years, Fitz has been better than Jameis. And you are talking about you like Jameis. This is my point. I'm telling you, I'm keeping this a buck. Like, bro, I'm keeping this a buck. I'm not even talking about who I like or whatever. I'm telling you, the last 3 years, I am a big time Jameis supporter. I wanted Jameis here to be the starting quarterback over Fitz and all of them. But if you want me to keep this 100, like this 100, no biasness in it, over the last 3 years, Fitzpatrick has been better than Jameis. And that's Jameis.
That's not an argument.
So why? Okay,
the man was a backup last year. He was a backup last year. He threw 30 interceptions the year before that. Come on, man.
I'm going Adam's way. I'm going to go with Adam. So when Adam says, this is why, at least my argument is going to be consistent. When Adam says that he doesn't want Jameis here, even here, did you say Adam? Oh, you said Adam? And what'd you say? I thought you said you didn't want Jameis.
No. I said if we're talking about could beat out in a competition,
sorry.
I said
no.
Adam,
I apologize. I apologize.
When we talked about it, I said if Jameis wins, if they came here if the money was right, Paul, we talked about it, the money was right.
Yeah.
I had no problem.
Yeah. We did talk about that. Yeah, we did talk about that.
No,
you talk about your competition.
Right. Again,
okay, gotcha.
Because I just think it's about, exactly competition. And it's not about the muscles he put on. It's not about that. I see the it factor. And again, as evaluators, sometimes we go out on limbs on certain guys. And this was not just what happened. Honestly, I really watched his college film and it's backfire. I watched the XFL stuff. I just see it. And I always say the disclaimer, if he can stay healthy, because that's the only problem with the guy. He's not a turnover machine. He's not a fumble machine. He just can't stay healthy.
Please, Mo. I want Mo to interject. I want Mo to interject.
We're basing Heineke's
Watch this.
We're basing everything about Heineke on one playoff game in which they could not prepare for him because he was not named the starter, nor was there film on him.
So then you just abandon. See, that's what I say. Thank you for doing that. Then I say to people, so then that means you abandon any type of evaluation. You say, let's see what happens. Fine. And I'm cool with that. I can't do that. To me, I can't do that with any player. The only guy I can do that with is Sammis Reyes. And even with Sammis Reyes, I want to watch basketball film so I can at least say something about him. But there's no way. The argument of you've got the film or you don't, I can't do that. I can say against Tampa Bay, sure, they didn't prepare for him. We could argue that all day, but he still looked good. So I'm going to take that. I'm going to take what I've seen, but I'm also going to be realistic about Fitzpatrick. I know the last couple of years he's trending up, okay? But again, look at his age.
Yes, I'll take that. That'll make him good though, Wole.
As a physical specimen. I think it's a natural progression that he goes down at some point because this line is just not built enough to sit there and throw 30 to 45 times a game. So I really hope it's going to be more of an even 50-50 run pass because this team is not going to be built to do that. The point here was when you have Heineke and that kind of concept and those kind of ideas, a la zone read, RPO, that's where I see success. And I think that's what I come back to everything. If you're going to say a straight pro offense, traditional drop back, Fitzpatrick. We have no discussion here, but we're talking about Washington and what I saw. And I think that when you're trying to get positive yards against really good teams with not the best offensive line, you got to be innovative. If they drop back Fitzpatrick and try to chuck it up, they're going to lose more games than they win.
So, Adam, you're going to compound one problem with another problem. So now you're relying on Scott Turner's creativity.
No one relies on Scott Turner. Everybody know he's trash. I'm sorry. That's
God,
I gotta stop doing that.
So now you want to base Heineke's success off of actual smart and precise coaching from an offensive coordinator who asked for a running back that was a wide receiver in college, only to run him between the tackles and not throw him the ball out of the backfield, but throw it to his backup for 91 receptions. And you want that guy to now turn around and base an offense around Taylor Heinicke and his small sample size. And you telling me this is what makes this team. I've been telling Wole and Ray that this is the worst thing that happened to the Washington football team is they made the playoffs last year. If they would have not made the playoffs, there would have been a lot less hope around bad football play, and they would have fixed some real issues rather than thinking that they could put a Band-Aid over what is happening. And they think that they're going to come out and be better this year because this defense is all world. This defense is
like a different thing.
This defense is going to rival. They want this defense to rival the 85 Bears, the 2000 Ravens, and that's going to carry the team because Fitzmagic is better than one-leg Alex Smith last year. That's the worst thing that happened to this team. They made the playoffs last year, and they believe they're actually good.
I'll
answer you now. No, they are not designing an offense around him. This is coming from Papa North Turner. This is concepts from old Air Coryell. Okay, this is not anything being designed for one person. This is a hybrid system. Is it gonna work? I started by saying that last segment that I don't know if Scott Turner is gonna be able to pull it off. He has no excuse, but just a drop back system, that's not going to happen in Washington. And I think look what Miami did and look at some of the places he's had success. Fitzpatrick hasn't really been utilized as a quarterback where they're moving the pocket, they're doing stuff like that. Washington and Turner does. He did it with Cam Newton. He's done it with anybody he's had there. He's Allen. They want to move the pocket. It's not about scrambling. It's not about zone reads RPO. It's matching up with different teams. And I really think you'll see some teams where they'll be able, and I see Dallas is a perfect example. That defensive line is weak interior. I think that's you're going to ground and pound 12 personnel, 2 tight ends as much as possible. But then when you're going to go against teams that have that really solid front, you're going to have to spread the ball out a little more and spread the receivers out. So with a porous offensive line, if you just drop back, you're going to get it from all angles. And one thing I saw about Fitzpatrick, camp, whatever, I hope I'm wrong. I'm seeing him a step slower, and I think it's because it's the offense. I think there's a lot being thrown at him as far as what he has to digest. He has seen everything, but the verbiage and concepts, that could take time. People I've talked to, they're like, listen, even though he's been around the league, you could see some really, some big growing pains in the first, 3 to 5 weeks just because of miscues, timing, and, problems with the verbiage. So for me, I want to see him be innovative. And I just wonder how innovative can they be with Fitzpatrick? And if they do, how healthy can he stay? Because I think by moving the pocket, you're making him susceptible for hits too.
All right, well, let's go away from the Fitzpatrick talk. Let's go away from the quarterback talk. So we're getting away from that. We're going to go away from that. All right, so
y'all are something else.
You know what I'm saying? Mo, you a Giants fan. You talking like me. All right, quarterback. I can tell you. Boston fans, this, that. We'll get to that later. We got a lot of time during the season for you to say whatever about expectations and what they're going to do. All right, so quarterback William Jackson III didn't play against the Bengals. Is this something to be concerned with?
No, I think more of what people have been talking about as, they're comparing it to a Josh Norman. Like, are you trying to, fit, a square peg into a round circle again with, him, his best attributes is a press corner. And if you've seen Washington, they want to do a lot of zone. They want to, do a lot of, cloud zone and just break off chunks of the field. But I think if you listen to what they're saying is they want to play some more press man. That'll give them the opportunity to maybe bring more pressure, more stunts, because if they're at the line, it gives them less opportunity for quick hitches if you can get your hands on them. So I think they're counting on him to do that. And saying that, there's some concerning things that I've seen in camp. But, I think a guy, St. Just is actually, he's a camp story, but I could see him as a guy, his long arms, his speed, his instincts. he could be a guy that really surprises and really comes out of the blue and just, becomes our solid number 2. Because from what I think we keep hearing is, they're moving Fuller, inside, maybe dropping him back. But I think now that you have Bobby McCain, there's just so many different combinations you can do. So I don't think we're going to see, William Jackson always cornerback 1, following the best team's wide receiver. My hopes are really medium for him. So let's just say that.
Ooh, Adam.
Wole, I
don't know if you might have heard some of the things that Adam was saying somewhere before. But you said that when a certain individual said it, you said it was hate. You know what I mean?
No, I heard him say no. I said hate.
And when Adam says it,
no, it's only hate when you say no. There's a difference. I'm gonna say the difference. I'm gonna break down different. Adam's talking about a particular player. I don't care about a particular player. It doesn't bother me. But like when you went ham, it was like the worst thing that happened to Washington was like they almost made the play. They made the playoffs in the worst division, and now people think they're gonna do. You generalize that thing. That's how I looked at hate. So we'll go ahead and continue.
I'm talking about.
It was the worst part. You
asked about William Jackson.
Yeah, William Jackson.
The day that you paid William Jackson.
Oh, we back in the day. Oh, you talking about back? Yeah, I still think. Again, I said William Jackson when I saw in camp about William Jackson. I think William Jackson is going to be fine. To be honest with you.
Oh, I like him.
I think that the thing about William Jackson when people in camp is that when people get fixed, like he got beat by Scary Terry. Okay, you get beat by Scary Terry.
He's going to be most. He's going to be most.
I mean, he's going to be most. Scary Terry.
He got beat by more than just Scary Terry.
No, it was Scary Terry. That was real Scary Terry.
Adam had a point about fitting a square into a circle, about bringing a press man corner to his own team, about bringing and I mentioned this. I said, is Del Rio going to use this, right? Because I'm thinking back to those Denver teams, and I'm like, does he feel like this is the same personnel? I know the same concept there, right? Or like when he was in Carolina, basically. Yeah. When he was in Carolina, early Carolina, not the second rendition of Carolina, right? When he was in Carolina with Peppers and all of them guys. When I think back to Chris Gamble, I think back to Captain Munnerlyn and them playing corner. Now, William Jackson's best attribute is his long arms and his elite speed. Elite speed. He's still fast.
Very fast.
I remember him coming out of Houston and burning up the combine. Now, if he can't redirect you, you have mitigated his powers. So to me, I don't think that the scheme is going to call for enough of the man stuff for him to get his press man stuff, for him to get his hands on receivers and redirect them. Yeah. And that's why he's getting beat at camp. De'Ami Brown was doing some numbers too.
You saw him. We saw he in that one. But De'Ami run 4.4. De'Ami is elite. Is going to be. I know De'Ami going to be like that. So I'm not even worried about that.
You don't need no question.
I ain't worried about De'Ami. Going to be a lot of people. I ain't worried about that. The people he got beat by are people that I feel like will beat a lot of people. So it is what it is. When I look at Jackson, I look at it like he fits what it is. And truth be told, in camp, to be real with you, he's had a good camp. He just got beat by 2 people. I mean, De'Ami beat. Like people like Fuller, De'Ami fried Fuller. De'Ami's fried everybody. Am
I concerned about that? Not really. What I'm really concerned about is I didn't see him at the Friday practice at the field.
That's the thing that
he hasn't played. He hasn't played yet, right? Mm-hmm. And not playing and being on the shelf and being the prized possession of the offseason outside of Jamin, like he's a big piece to what this defense wants to be. And that continuity needs to be built. We said earlier that Landon's playing faster. You said you wonder why. Landon has lost a lot of weight this offseason. Landon's gone back to some. The thing when you said that Achilles could be, this thing that it usually is. But when you lose some weight and you turn around and you go back to your, I think a lot of these guys come to the NFL and they get fancy all of a sudden. Get back to the bread and butter of it. Get back to explosive work. Get back to some strength training and get back to what you know, because that's what's going to help you get through the grind of the season, right? That's what's going to help you get through the grind of the season. And we've seen a different Landon Collins than the guy that arrived here from New York, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, now the hater in me is going to come out. You should have left him in Big Blue. Okay. We wanted to pay him 11. You offered him 14. Any guy's going to take that, so he had to go. I understand, but I'm looking forward to seeing. I think that those two together is what's going to take this defense where it needs to go. So I need William Jackson to be at his absolute best if I'm a fan, or if I'm just a fan of football because we understand his importance and his role. Like, he's going to have a significant role, especially with the fact that they want to put Fuller back when Fuller's comfortable.
He's better at it.
I'm not betting on St. Juice. I'm not drinking the juice. OJ, no J, none of it. I don't, no. I know. See, what Adam does is, right? Adam is a fan. That's one thing. Secondly, he's a scout.
Mm-hmm.
He sees the positives. He sees everything you can be. You know what I do? I watch what you're doing today. What you're doing today. Okay, and nobody's going into the season and saying, I need Juice at the second corner.
I will say this about Juice. I will say this about Juice to Adam's point, because I was anti-Juice because he went to Michigan. The transfer from Minnesota. He didn't cut it in Michigan. I'm just keeping it a buck. He didn't cut it in Michigan. So he couldn't crack. He couldn't crack the squad. He couldn't crack the star unit.
He left Michigan. He got returned. Minnesota.
Went to Minnesota. He left Michigan, went to Minnesota. So he couldn't cut it. And that's why he left. And so I have a vibe on St. Juice already. But I will say that from what I saw the last game, he impressed me. He did, because he was making plays left and right. Okay. He was making plays all day. So I was like, wait a minute.
But
I'm gonna tell
you guys, like,
Brandon Allen was late on a couple balls though.
Mm-hmm.
As an evaluator, he I guess, like, that's the thing. I'm limited as far as, that's why they have regional scouts, and that Minnesota and that general area, that's not somewhere I focus. But after I thought that they reached and people were saying, if they redrafted, wait till the fourth round, whatever. But I just started reaching out to any of my old scouting buddies, anybody that I that are in the industry now, and they said the next 5 teams after Washington all had him in the top 3 on their board. Take that for what you will as a rumor, but listen, and that's why I really got intrigued. So I started watching this tape, and again, it doesn't blow you away, his Minnesota stuff, right? It doesn't blow you away, but I have to also lean towards a lot of these guys and people what they're saying, and they see a lot in him. And the reason I say cornerback too is because really, Fuller, Moreland, and all the guys we have, I like them, but these guys are not locked down number 2 guys. And I think anybody could come out of them. What I'm saying is, best case scenario really is that he rises as number 2. You have William Jackson on the other side. And then when you have Fuller and Moreland and everyone else, because, you throw in McCain, you have a rotation where you can do those deep safety looks. I'm glad you talked about Collins, and I'll end this. I'm really curious to see where Cam Curl, because I think he's a guy that everyone said, oh, he can just move everywhere. I think that's kind of a thing that's thrown around too much. He's a Buffalo nickel. Okay, he was at his best when he was the 3rd safety in the game, when they had those 3 guys in before Landon Collins went down. So now he went to strong safety and he shined. He was known as one of the best up and coming in the NFL. So now we're going to be pressing him more to be, a true free safety. That's what I don't know about. And I think they got McCain not just to be a rotational guy. I think in Miami, he was a captain as a free safety. He was a slot corner when they needed him. But yeah, insurance. But I think when we're seeing those, those 3rd downs, those 3rd and 14s, those 3rd and whatever, I think that have Landon Collins, I think you're going to see him get pulled. I don't think he's a guy that's going to be an 80% snap guy. I think if they're smart, especially they can use the injury thing all they want for the first half and, monitor those snaps. So I think if he's going to be in too much, I worry, because I want him closer to the line. I want him nowhere in coverage. Because I think at this point of his career, the best thing he can do is cover those short and intermediate routes, while Curl really gets those, those deep center fields. But for right now, I'm going to be cautiously optimistic that they can coexist. I'm just not sure it's going to work.
Adam, like the news on Curl is because he came into college as a corner. He played his whole freshman year as a corner.
Yeah,
right. He played the slot. What they love about the slot. Now he was a big slot, like a honey badger type slot. Then he found his niche in the deep secondary. So when he came in the league and he was a third, he was the 3rd safety. And then once he got in the box again, like, you seen him shine. And behind that pass rush, like, when you look at his measurables, he fits the bill, 6'1", to over 200. He has some speed to him. He's not afraid to come downhill, none of that. So he's the reason that is even a question is because Landon is owed $14 million. Like, we know the truth.
Yeah.
Right? It's the money. It's the money.
Next year.
Cam Curl was not expected to do none of that last year.
Nope.
And he figured something out. So now you have to make everything work because you can't put $14 million on the bench and you can't have $14 million play less than 80 snaps. So
but you gotta
when they go to that dime look, when they go to that dime look, I don't think Landon comes off the field. I think they take a linebacker. The linebacker goes and Landon fills their linebacker spot. Yeah. Like that's what I would do. I would let McCain and Curl do what they do because McCain has some range. Let Cam Curl does what he do and let Landon clean up everything underneath there because he has to check the tight ends anyway. It ain't like it's gonna be long third down distance or long second down distance. It ain't like they're gonna run anyway. And even if they do run, he has a knack for that. That's what he does.
They'll be at their best in long situations with three safeties on the field. And when we say three safeties, McCain's the third safety, or even Fuller is the third safety if they consider that package. But yeah, I don't think so. But I'm talking about longevity. And again, we got to get through this year. And I do think that coming off that injury and playing all those games, I'm not saying I'm recommending that he doesn't be in all those packages. I'm just saying at this point of his career, I'll be really, intrigued to see how they use him because I don't think you can have him in that traditional starting safety, strong safety look from week one on going on to the end of the year. I don't see it.
Well, I'm intrigued why you keep saying at this point of his career, the man he's only going into year 7. He's still under 30.
And his injury is a big one that I think is a little understated as far as recovery time and what happens. And I think Junior Galette was a perfect example. And again, he comes off the line, he's shooting, so that's a little more pressure. But it's common that I reached out to doctors when I learned about this injury. When you have that injury, the overcompensation on the other Achilles is the percentage of that popping just goes way up. You're talking about two things. You're talking about shooting at the line or backpedaling. Okay. And that's why you keep hearing me.
Especially back.
That's what you keep. So it's not that I'm like, I don't want him in coverage because he scares me. He'll be a bum. That's what the other people said. I'm an Alabama guy, man. I know what he can do. He's good and he's serviceable in coverage. It's that movement. And that movement for 17 games, that scares me. So like you said, third down, keeping him close to the line. But I think they're going to have to get him in and out. And I don't know if maybe they're, Hudson, they're going to be creative as far as, because I think that the 2-3 linebacker look is going to start to be a thing of the past. That's going to be, in very, small amount of plays a game. And that's why they're hoping Jamin Davis is going to be that guy sooner rather than later. But they're going to have to be creative early on because they're asking a lot of their linebackers.
So, all right. So real quick before we, I got you, Mo. I'll ask you one question. So actually, Mo, ask your question.
No.
Ask your question.
I didn't have a question.
Oh, okay. All right. So we talked about when the Washington's playing Baltimore.
We talked about Patterson. We've talked about Heineke and Fitzpatrick. We talked about.
Yeah. So we talked about like Baltimore, the team, like they've got Baltimore coming up on Saturday, last preseason game. We just talked about how William Jackson, hasn't played yet. Probably won't play the last preseason game because it's like the last preseason game. Is there any concern about not seeing Curtis Samuel at all during this whole preseason? Is there any concern?
Yes.
Yeah. There has to be. There has to be. But how much were you counting on him is the better question. And me, I thought he was a great gadget and great guy to get, but I don't look at him as like a wide receiver 2, a solution at the slot. I look at him as a guy that's going to move around, and if maybe he's going to be the guy in the second half of the season. But I like what we have early on. So De'Ami Brown, I'm a huge De'Ami Brown fan.
You know what's so funny? I agree. I totally agree with you because people say I hate because I'm a Michigan fan. So I totally agree. But it's like I feel like if they knew they could have got De'Ami in the draft,
they would have signed
Curtis Samuel. This money would have been avoided for real. Like I'm like, because it's like when you look at the roster, to be honest with you, it's like you don't really need them. You don't. I know it's not to be like. I mean, it's an added weapon, I guess, because of speed. But when you look at the roster, like you got Fitzpatrick's favorite target is Humphrey, like he's the slide.
And Logan,
De'Ami, and Logan. Yes, and Logan Thomas. De'Ami is the speed, is the deep threat. You got Scary Terry. All right, like let's be
every
like, now you got you're pretty much set.
Cam are your big guys.
So you're pretty much set. The only thing that Samuel brings to the table is speed. So now you're gonna have to find a way to, incorporate him, right? Be the gadget guy, be the guy in the backfield, maybe play some running back. Just like at Ohio State. This is what he did in Ohio State. He ran running back every once in a while, played inside slot, played outside. You know what I mean? Just was that threat.
But I'll say Matt Rule last year though
did the same thing.
He used him in more ways. He actually tried to make him more of a receiver, and I think that's what made his value really shoot up.
I mean, it's like 800. Was it like 800 yards?
It was Joe Brady, man. It was Joe Brady. He brought that LSU offense over from the national championship team.
It was like 8. What do you have? Like 800 yards? 800 yards.
800 yards and about 8 touchdowns or something like that. Who was the catalyst? Jamar Chase.
He got like, how much money you get again? That's what I'm saying. Like, how much money you get?
Like 10 million.
Like 12 a year almost.
Samuel?
Yeah.
Samuel, you're talking about?
Yeah,
I think it worked out to be about 10 and change a year on average for
800 yards. 800 yards in that season. I know.
Yeah, and
But again, I just feel like he could definitely help the offense. I mean,
he will.
He could definitely help the offense. I'm not knocking it because it's not like this offense is like the Kansas City Chiefs. They need everybody they need what they need. All right, so he can definitely help the offense. But I just feel like if they did get Diami, I just feel like if they knew they would get Diami, this money would have been shared elsewhere. That's all I'm saying. They knew it. They had that feel.
You're not spending $34.5 million on Curtis Samuel.
So.
You're getting Diami Brown and AGG coming into his own.
Yeah,
and because at that point, if you do that, you have your speedster, you have your all-world in Terry, you have your big body in AGG. You got Cam Sims as insurance for whoever, right? Then you have
it's a catch the
and
ball,
I think listen, I get you. He made some plays for Heineke in that game. If we're gonna give Heineke some credit, he made some plays.
And he dropped some too. And he dropped some in that game too. And he did drop some too. If you're going, don't do that. Yeah, he did drop that
big deep ball.
Yeah.
Listen to
it wasn't just deep ball. It was a high school pass ball he dropped.
Hey man, I'm an opportunity employer when it comes to talking about the Washington football team, man. Talking about all of them. I don't sugarcoat with none of them.
Look, man,
right? So but I do agree with you. If you knew Diami was coming, there's no way you pay him $34 million to come over here as a gadget player. And the thing that strikes me odd about that deal anyway is that he didn't experience any success with this staff when they were in Carolina with him.
That's the thing that gets me. Right. That's the thing.
Right.
That's the thing.
You know?
That's what is interesting about the sign. That's what it got me when they were rumored to get him and they did get him. I was like, well, you didn't utilize him the way that they utilized him last year. And from watching your offense, from watching the offense last year, I don't know if you're going to do it anyway. I just don't know. Like, I don't know. You know what I'm saying?
You look at what Joe Brady was able to do last year. He had 2 1,000-yard receivers in Roby Anderson and DJ Moore. And then you had him at 800 yards.
And he had DJ Moore that year too as a rookie. That's what I'm just saying. Like, it's not a knock. Huh?
Robbie Anderson, when Robbie Anderson was available, I was like, man, come on, watch it. Everyone's like, man.
But you know what? I like Robbie Anderson. All right, so this is the thing, Adam. I saw your tweet, Rob. I saw your tweet. I like Robbie Anderson too. But my issue, it's not a Robbie Anderson issue. It's the Scott Turner issue. That's my thing. That's the thing.
He showed us something, and he hasn't shown us anything.
That's what I'm saying. Like, that's my thing.
But Robbie Anderson, if you're going to draft Robbie Anderson, you're going to sign draft Robbie Anderson, and you knew you was bringing in Fitzpatrick, that's a marriage made in football heaven.
It is though. That's true.
Because that's I like my guy better than I like your guy.
Yeah, that's true.
Let it go.
He'll give you an opportunity. That's the thing. But see, this again, it's all about what I don't know. See, the thing about Fitzpatrick, and I'm not talking about Fitz, but it's about Scott Turner. Like, that's my thing. I feel like
it's a make or break year for him. He's
that's
not
what I'm
going to
saying.
get a long leash.
To me, it's all predator. And we say this all the time on the show about Scott. It always comes to Scott Turner on the show now I think about it. But like it's all about Scott Turner. It's about what to expect, because I'm a big believer in this, and no one's going to take this away from me about when we're judging offensive minds. Like, you know when you got that guy. Like, there's a difference. So I always ask fans who tell me, well, I'm too hard on Scott Turner. I'm like, what's your ceiling on Scott Turner? Like, tell me your ceiling. Like, that's the because when you got a guy, like when Shanahan took over a job, he was new at it, but he was that guy. Like, you saw the mind. you saw how the offense moved. Even with lesser quarterbacks, you saw how the offense moved. You saw it with lesser quarterbacks. With Sean McVay, like you saw the mind. Like this, like you can mess up in the game or a portion of the game, but you can tell when an offensive coordinator is that guy. Mike Marks had how many quarterbacks move the football up and down, and Mike, you know what I mean? You know when you have that guy. So when fans tell me, "Oh, give him time. He's young. He started well." All right. But how much time do you want me to give him? Like, what has he shown me to say, like, oh man, he's had a streak of calling great games. Like, nah, like, so if you're talking his ceiling is being a solid offensive coordinator, then all right, you could tell me that, but don't try to don't treat me like Bobo the Fool and tell me like he's gonna be a Sean McVay, he's gonna be a Kyle Shanahan. Some of these even a Nagy in Chicago, some of these guys that's shown you something like to make certain players look a certain way. You know, I'm not asking him to be the greatest show on turf, but
that's why I'm saying, you know, and again, it's not even about a Fitzpatrick issue. It's exactly what is his ceiling with Fitzpatrick.
Exactly.
And what is his ceiling with a quarterback that can, you know, be an option on the move. And that's what it comes to. I shouldn't even call him Taylor Heineke, but I should say the quarterback with the option to move. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Because, you know, if we had Tyrod Taylor, I would probably having the same discussion right now.
Yeah, I got
because I love that. I think if you don't have that guy, that franchise guy, you have a guy that can move the pocket. So we'll see, man. But this defense, I'll say it now, they're gonna be number one by years end. This is good. This is a top level defense.
Oh, I agree. I think it's top level defense.
No doubt about it.
Yeah, that's what I feel.
No doubt about it.
That's when I'm like, you gotta take advantage of it. Put it that way. You gotta take advantage of this defense.
I don't think that perfect storm that y'all ran into last year is gonna. I don't think that. Yeah, I don't think that hurricane is coming again.
Oh no, this is going to be just one of the best. It's probably, it's going to be probably the best team in the East, regardless. It just doesn't. That's what it's probably going to be. But you know, I'm gonna tell you this though, and because Adam knows this. I speak factually, not about a fan. And when certain things, elements of the team, I look for. We talk about defense all the time. Remember, we talked about it a couple years ago about defense. About how I can tell the defense is going to be bad or good. Like I can pretty much gauge.
I never said number one. I always said top five or whatever.
Yeah, but I'm gonna see. Watch this, Adam. Like I'm gonna say this. Right. And you see me hard on this defense for how many years?
Harder than.
This D can be number one easily. And I'm gonna tell you this, because there's signs I see it in preseason. For years I've watched Washington, and there are years that people have gassed up the defense, and they're like, oh, they're gonna be this, and I'm like, nah, not what I saw in preseason. They're about to get ran on. They're gonna get stomped. I've said this, so it ain't never been like I've never been a fan. I'll tell you this off whatever. Like this year, this defense is 110% legit. Like it is not.
Everyone wanted the ground and pound and this and that, but their identity is Chase Young.
Yeah, Chase Young and Chase is ready. Chase is 100. Yeah. Chase is 100.
I was really on the fence when I saw the whole contract with him, everything, but then everything I looked at, it just makes total sense because believe me, everyone said, well, we might not get this. No, Allen, Payne, Sweat, Chase Young, they're going to find a way. Those guys are going to be in the future. They have a 5+ year window with all those guys. So I think Jamin Davis, once you get that all together, really, we're talking about a bunch of tip balls, a bunch of fumbles. Yeah. That's what this defensive line is going to do. And that's why we're so high on it. Anybody, you know, a Giants fan, to me, they're the biggest threat. I think Dallas is way too high on me. Philadelphia is at the bottom. I mean, I think Dallas, without Dak, they're at the bottom. Without Fitzpatrick, I think Washington can still make the playoffs. So that's what we're talking. Without Danny Dimes, I think New York struggles mightily. So they need.
Well, without Danny Dimes, they struggle. They probably better without Danny Dimes. What are we talking about?
Tipping on haterade over there, ain't it? Goodness gracious.
Dude, you don't even mess with Danny Dimes. Don't even stop that.
Your thirst over there, goodness gracious.
You don't even mess with Danny Dimes. Don't do that. Ain't no hate. I actually probably like Danny Dimes more than you like Danny Dimes. But you know what I'm saying?
I just read it.
You know what I'm saying? You know I like. Go ahead, man. Go ahead. But I will say this though, and I've said this in the past. Mo is probably objective, but I mean, Adam, you hear typically, right, in the NFC East. So this is from my rebuttal to Mo's argument about the perfect storm. Usually in NFC East, the best defense typically wins the division. Right. That's how the East rocks. That's how the East is predominantly always rocked.
For a long time now.
For a long time.
False. That is so false.
Name our name. Go ahead. Name me the last defense. Name the defensive. No. I said usually the best defense. Forget the repeat. All right, go ahead.
No one has repeated.
The Eagles did.
Champion.
Then the Eagles. They made the playoffs.
The division champion in the last 10 years.
Okay, I'm gonna say this again. This is my argument. Listen to my argument. That's not my argument. What did I just say? Usually I didn't get to my point yet. I get your point.
I didn't get to my point yet.
Go ahead, my friend.
I was just giving you, appetizer.
Go ahead, my friend. Go ahead, my friend.
So
go ahead.
The Cowboys didn't have the best defense when they
What year?
won.
What year was that? The year that I believe they did have the best defense. But go ahead. They did have the
in the division.
Within the division. Within the division.
Check in the division.
Within the division.
No. The year that they went to the playoffs and lost to the Rams, they didn't have
check it. Check the division. Check it. Look. You just saying it. See, look. I said check it. You check it. If I'm wrong, the year that the Cowboys.
Or is that the before?
No, that was the year they had Marinelli was the defensive coordinator, which they were a better defense. Well, they were a better defense with Marinelli. They weren't a bad. They were a better defense with Marinelli. They were probably again. I believe they were the best defense. The Eagles always have the best defense. The Eagles always have the best defense. But every year they won, they had the best defense. Look. I said, and Adam, what was my argument again? Adam, what was my argument? I didn't say. I said usually. Right?
Not always.
If you do it, usually the best defense in the NFC East wins the division. Mm-hmm. That is my argument. You could try to look for outliers all you want. But what I'm telling you
usually means, man.
Predominantly. Why you want it? Predominantly. That more
majority of the time.
Predominantly.
Well, I think you'd be hard pressed to find a division winner that had a weak defense.
Exactly. That's the point.
I guess it's just a trend. It's just a trend where we're saying like the Cowboys offense against the best Washington defense. To me, right now, as a fan, I'll step back as just a fan of football.
Yeah.
I think when you match them up, I think that Cowboys, they spent all those years building that offensive line to watch it crumble right now. So I think they're just ripe for the picking. Yeah. So I think when you have the best defense, best offense, you got to protect your quarterback still.
I know you're looking it up, Mo. Just look it up, baby. Look it up. And just come back to me. And
I'll be like,
I know you will. And you'll come back to me. I'm be like, you know what? I'm right.
I'm not going to be able to find that on this show.
Yeah, know what? You still tweet. You can text me. You should text me. All right. And I will tell you that I'm right. Because I know I'm right.
Another time.
And it's funny thing is I know I'm right.
Get us to Baltimore, man. All
right. So Ravens. I know that the Ravens. All right, I already talked about Baltimore. We talking about Baltimore right now anyway. I'm trying to don't fast forward me. Don't be fast forward me. All right, the Baltimore game. All right, actually, this is a good question. I actually have a very, very smart question. So the Baltimore game, Washington's first team offense, right? They haven't closed the deal, right? They've been dropped. They've been showing glimpses, but haven't closed the deal. Similar problem they had last season, where they would drive but Alex Smith or whoever drive the length of the field. Well, Alex Smith, not with the other guys. With Alex Smith, they would drive the length of the field and not score touchdowns, right? Still having a similar problem within these preseason games. I'm not going to put this on. We talked about Scott Turner enough, but this is an issue this is something that this team should really be concerned about.
Yeah. I think when we get into week one, the Chargers, that's a very good defense, not a world beater. So I think it's going to be a good test on how they run the ball and how they throw on them. So I think week one, this preseason, I don't know how they're going to do it. There's no fourth game. So I think they'll get the starters out maybe, or most of them won't be in for the most part,
Would you play them a series because they haven't had anything confident?
I've been hearing that.
I don't see any benefit, not against Baltimore. I don't see a benefit. I think that's when something bad's going to happen. And I think, right now it's not about being scared. It's just like, listen, they've been pretty blessed through the off season, compared to other teams. So the last game really doesn't matter. There's a lot of roster guys, DeAndre Carter's a guy I wrote about, huge game for him. There's a couple of guys like down the outside, Danny Johnson, another guy I wrote about a couple of years ago from HBCU. He has a chance to, he usually, if he doesn't stick, he'll come back. But I think that these reps for these guys are what's going to matter. It's not going to be about moving the ball up and down the field. I wouldn't look at all into it, to be honest.
Weirdly enough, this year, I thought they were treated like the rest of the off seasons, even though they were short one preseason game.
Yeah.
I thought the game where most of the starters played was the third preseason game before. I thought because they cut one off, I thought it would be the second. I experienced that this past weekend. I went to Cleveland on Sunday versus the Giants. I went to Cleveland versus the Giants, and no starters played. Not
Yeah,
even
it's
not even the
crazy.
next backup.
Yeah,
Not
it's
even like the
crazy.
direct backup played. So,
Yeah.
but
It's gonna be
a lot of people are playing their starters this weekend.
Are they
A lot of
really?
people are playing their starters this
You
weekend.
know what's funny? Because all right, so Washington, which is weird, because everybody's doing it different. So Washington, first preseason game, typically you get like one series for your starters in the first preseason game. Washington gave their stars like a couple, like about two, like I want to say like 3 series, or it was 2 to 3 series the first preseason game. This series they gave them about close enough to like to the second quarter. Like they did a little different. So I'm only expecting for them not to play anybody in the third, none of the first team in the third preseason game. But there's a lot of people, which again, I know we're going off topic a little bit, but there are a lot of preseason. I don't agree with the methods for a lot of teams in the preseason. They're not playing starters, especially when you're not. A lot of these people aren't like for quarterback play. Like you're not Aaron Rodgers. You're not like you're not like a Brady or anything like that. And you're sitting and not playing. Like you better play the last preseason game. Like I feel like if you're not that guy, you should be playing. Like Joe Burrow, Joe Burrow's not playing. Huh?
There's not enough love, enough of them in the league. Even if you don't have, even if your guy is not Brady, you have to treat him as if he's Brady.
That's crazy because Joe Burrow, like I'm playing you, I don't care.
Joe Burrow got to chill. Joe Burrow cannot play.
Man, he got to play, man. I don't care.
He cannot play.
What's up, my man? Did Justin Herbert even play a preseason game at all?
No, I don't think so.
Herbert
he's a beast, man, but I'm still you gotta play.
Everyone's in love with Easton Stick, man. I was like, listen, they're gonna look good right now. I watched a lot of that guy, and he's got a lot of flaws, but he'll look good in the preseason because especially what they're trying to do. Easton Stick, the guy he's got most of the time in St. He was North Dakota State too before Trey Lance. They were there together briefly, I believe. But
I'm not into when you were a young quarterback. You ain't established yet. I'm not into you're going into the season because you're trying to gain momentum. Like you don't want to go into I mean not to gas anything up, but Justin Herbert, and if he does well, all praise. I like Justin Herbert. I think he's a beast.
Yeah, he's good.
He's legit. He's the real thing. But I'm like, you want to start strong. Like you go into week 1 against, and not saying because I'm like Washington defense is legit. Like you're going into a game, the first game, seeing Chase Young and Montez Sweat.
Hey, he gonna chop y'all up, man.
That's fancy. See, that's what I'm talking about.
Chop.
Look, see, bro, you going into it not playing, on that thing, man. I'm sorry, that's not cool. Like even like the Giants, I feel like the Giants, and I just think this is funny. That's what they got funny. That's what I think is funny.
Where's their speed? Where's LA speed? They have size out on the outside of receivers, Devin Herbert. He's going to give him the ball, but you was going to see them throw 50-50s all day to these guys because that's what they do. The pure speed data, in my opinion, you're talking about matching up one-on-one. LA's built up that offensive line to be, to handle it. But on the outsides, have they built it up? No way. I think that Del Rio, he's going to smell blood again because Herbert, I don't think you're going to let him sit back.
Yeah, I think you're letting him sit back. Yeah, I think give him a rhythm, get a rhythm.
Did you guys not watch the end of the season last year when
he was an animal.
Was hurt? When Keenan Allen was hurt and the young boys were just running up and down the field.
Look, bro. I'm telling you, I'm a Herbert guy. Like, I want you to understand. This is not about Herbert.
Look, I lost a fantasy game because of one of those young guys.
This is the thing. This is a belief of resting somebody that ain't all the way. Like so for instance, and let's keep it we've seen great rookies, have great first years, right? And I think he's going to continue to play good football. Like I'm not saying he ain't, but second year some second year dudes don't start like gangbusters, bro. Like why? My thing is that to look at the great ones, they get they're not sitting out preseason games in the second year. They continue working on their craft. This is not a knock on him. I'm saying there's a level of greatness. There's levels to this. You rocking Mamba, but you're not taking preseason games off.
I feel like you're overestimating a preseason game where people are not playing the starters, right? Like for instance, they're playing a lot more scrimmages against other teams.
That's fine.
During this preseason. But that's served because you're playing the ones at practice. You're not playing the ones.
That's cool, but you did that back in the day. Right? This is the thing.
They're doing that. They're playing a lot.
Are you hitting the quarterback getting hit? Yeah. The quarterback, most times in those scrimmages, those quarterbacks have the yellow jerseys or red. They're not getting touched.
That's what I'm saying. Like it's different.
That's fine. I don't want the quarterback to get hit. I just need my quarterback to process. I want my quarterback to process.
Unlike Brian Aracco, who bounced off Cam Newton a couple years ago, you see that Chase Young is not bouncing off anybody. And Herbert, I'm just saying, if they want to protect him, putting him in right away, they're gonna establish that run. And I've been studying LA. They don't have that run game is not there yet. It's getting there. I like the talent they have there, but Washington in the beginning, I'm just talking about matchups. And I think Herbert, he can make some plays against this defense, but in the end, they're not going to establish.
He's going to make plays. I'm not saying he's going to make plays. That's not the argument.
I think your run defense is overrated. Your run defense didn't look good game one.
It did. What are you talking about? No, stop. No, that's what I'm talking about. The only people who look bad was the freaking third unit. The third unit. Did you watch the game, right? You watched the game?
Yes.
No, it was just the third unit. Just the third. No, the yards. Take away the long run.
That good?
Take away the long run. Take away the long run.
Why? Take away the game.
But no, that was against the fourth unit. Look at the argument. What's my point? You can't say run dude don't look good because dudes won't get cut. How can you say that? Like dudes are getting cut.
Listen, Chase Young, Montez Sweat, Deron Payne, Allen. Those guys.
Come on,
against offensive line.
And that's what even play. Don't even do that. First game. Don't even do that. Don't even do that. Like now you sounded like now you're sounding a little off on that. You said the run defense ain't look good. With Chase Young and no Montez, didn't even play a Matt Ioannidis. They look good.
Now they got Ioannidis.
And they look good. They look good with just their limited rotation, bro.
Settle 5 sacks last year. Nobody talks about him either, man. Underrated.
Man, Settle. You talking about Settle? Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Like the dudes that you talking about, the run defense ain't look good against, were the dudes who aren't going to make the team.
They're not going to be on the
team. Yeah, don't do that, Mo. Come on, Mo. Come on, Mo. Come on, man.
Wole.
Mo, come on, man.
Wole.
Come on, Mo.
Last time I seen 26 play versus the Washington football team, he's still running around.
Look what he's saying. Now look he's going. See it again. Look where he's going. Look at his reference.
What I'm telling you.
With the 26 play against.
What I'm telling you is that this run defense has been overrated.
No. Okay, my point. Hold. I'm about to help. The 26 play against Chase. That defense with the Chase and this unit. Oh no, he didn't. Okay.
Wayne Gallman did.
Okay. I know. Okay. No. Okay. No, I'm saying this.
Wayne Gallman was more than formidable.
Okay. I'm just asking. I'm just asking.
Wayne Gallman was more
participating game.
I'm just asking. Look. We got a new. Don't we got new linebackers? Don't we got new linebackers?
Was Montez Sweat there? Was Montez Sweat there?
We got new linebackers.
You got new linebackers.
Okay, this is the thing, bro. This is what I'm saying.
Montez Sweat and the two.
Okay. You know what? Time out. Let's do it this way. Let's make it easy because you're making the Giants went to Washington, and I feel you had to.
No, I'm not.
This is your argument. Where did this defense rank last season?
Second.
Okay. So again, it's a top defense. Period. And under a defense coordinator gets them for the second year. So now they're comfortable in the staff. You get an all-world player in Chase Young on his rookie season. Looks and let's go what we see. The eye test looks even better.
I'll say this
again. I'm just saying the defense.
I'll say this again, Wole.
Good.
The worst thing that happened to this franchise.
Look at the argument.
See, made the
argument. This is my argument.
And you believe
your defense. Time out. No, this is it. No, because you played.
Wole, you guys are playing seven Pro Bowl quarterbacks.
Yeah, that's right.
But is Dallas better and is Philadelphia better? That's the question. Dallas is maybe a little bit. If Dak stays healthy, that's been a problem already, though.
Dak is already questionable to start the first game of the year.
He's hurt.
Yeah.
He's going to get hurt again.
And then another quarterback that you played twice, you haven't beat since he's been in the NFL.
Look, okay, so this is what I see what's happening right now. I see what your argument is. I see what you're trying to do. And it's fine. I'm gonna say it again. I'm gonna say this again one more time. Forget whatever. Like this is a new regime. This is a new regime. You're right. They beat them last year with Alex Smith and whoever, with a quarterback playing, whatever. You can say whatever you want to about that. And your man didn't play. I'm fair. Like I'm fair when I talk. Like your Barkley didn't play.
But about the Giants, I'm always fair.
Yeah. This 2021, bro.
Barkley has
listen to me. This 2021, bro. If I judge stuff how you judging stuff, I can get a new player and the past could have been whatever, and I can still state that they're still going to beat them with this new player. Like Tom Brady came to the Buccaneers. If I judge it like you judge it, I could say, well, this so and so squad beat them all the time. Like the Saints always beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I can state it like that.
That's why strength of schedule has to be taken with a grain of salt, because the strength of schedule is how they were.
Didn't Tampa beat the Saints in the regular season, in the playoff? Didn't they beat them?
The Saints won 2 out of the 3.
But then Tampa beat who beat them in the playoffs?
Tampa won the playoff game.
Okay, that's my point. See, if I was use your argument, my point is, if I use your argument, they would lose.
It's hard to beat a team.
No. Again, if I use your argument, if I'm using your argument, it's your argument. I'm only using your argument for. I'm only using your argument. If I use your argument, Tampa would lose. Tampa would lose to the Saints in the postseason. If I use your argument. So all I'm saying, Mo.
The Saints beat them all year.
Mo, all I'm saying, Mo.
The Saints beat them all year.
Then did they win the playoff? They win the most important game of the season? Did they win the most important game in the season?
So that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to preface this.
Listen to me.
My premise is based on.
All right. Know what?
Mine is not based off the most important game of the year.
Okay,
mine is based off of the volume.
Okay, the volume. Okay, all right, volume. Okay, so if you use your point, this is your point. They beat Danny Dimes. Danny Dimes beat them all the time, right? So far, since he's been in the league, right? So that means eventually it's going to change, right? Because to your point, that it's hard to beat a team 3 times. Tampa beat the Saints. So the Saints beat Tampa twice in the regular season, right? But they lost to them in the postseason game. But so that means that to your own point, eventually Washington should beat Danny Dimes and the Giants, right? Because you can't keep beating somebody, right?
They will.
Right? They will. Okay, that's all I need to add. So I'm just saying that the argument of that they beat them, they cannot beat Danny Dimes, is that eventually it will happen. So I'm just telling you that when we look at the defense and how it was constructed and how the whole team is constructed, it can happen next season. It can happen next season.
They're built to stop quarterbacks. That's what they're built to. They're built to come off the edge, and they're built to create havoc. That's what this defense is built to do.
And they don't have slow
they're gonna
Pierre Louis to run down Danny Dimes. They don't have slow Pierre Louis to run down Danny Dimes.
That's
all I'm saying. Giants. This is not about the Giants. This is about
the Giants are going to be good.
This is about all the quarterbacks you have to face next year.
They do got some quarterbacks. It's okay. I love defenses, bro. Everybody know who I am. I'm a big fan of defenses.
You can love defense.
They're gonna knock them quarterbacks out, bro. They're gonna knock all of them out. All of them. Take your little old Tom Brady. He can get it too, man.
You got Josh Allen, Matt Ryan, Patrick Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, Russell Wilson.
I'm not really scared of Russ Wilson.
First 12 games.
I'm not scared of Russ.
Ryan is going to have a hard day against.
I'm not scared of Russ.
You're not scared of who?
I ain't scared of Russ. I'm really not.
Goodness gracious, man.
I'm not with this unit because they actually, truth be told, they made Russ work anyway last time they played him anyway, and they way better now than they were. They way better now than they were last year. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put November 29th in my phone.
I want you to listen to me, Hey, Adam, let Adam know who I am. I want all the smoke. Put me on there, bro. Put me on there. I'm telling you this. I'm telling you. I call it. Look. You gonna hear some stuff. Yo, look. Watch this. Washington.
I'm calling you at about this time.
Championship game, bro. NFC championship game. You just heard that too.
They
get to the bowl for real. Hey Mo, when I go, because when they go to the bowl, I'm going, and I'm gonna give you a call while I'm near Cheddar.
Wole, when you start talking like that, go ahead. You can just drop me off the call, man, because I don't.
I just look, man. And then when you on it, you're gonna be like, oh, he told me this. Hey, man, we gotta wrap the show up, man. It's been this has been great. Hey, Adam, man,
this has been great.
It has, man. It has though. Real talk.
Wole acting out of character. You see this?
Out of character. No, look, man. This is.
We've been dropping it up for. And that's great, man.
Hey, Adam, thanks for being on the show, man. Let our listeners know how they can catch you on social media, and again, tell our listeners about your new podcast. Give them the information again, and also, what you got, what you got working in terms of writing articles for the Burgundy and Gold Report.
Sure. Always find us on Twitter at the B&G Report. As I mentioned before, the B&G Report Happy Hour will be dropping before week 1 on chopping up episodes. It's going to be on YouTube. We just kicked out an article about a week ago about DeAndre Carter, about his upside as a returner, possibly making it as the last receiver. Other than that, always go to our site, our new podcast, YouTube. Everything will be at the burgundyandgoldreport.com. Through the year, we're always about Washington, but I'm always got my eye on, quarterbacks, Malik Willis, Liberty. That'll be a guy that I'm really high on. So that's my crush this year, so you guys know. But we're going to be kicking out a lot of small school prospects, a lot of HBCU, but a lot of, some guys that are definitely going to be early round fits in Washington. So just stay tuned. Hail DC, guys.
I love HBCU love, you know what I'm saying? I love it. I went to HBCU, so I'm all for it. Appreciate it. Appreciate the support, Adam. I love it, man.
DC guys, man. We got to stick together, DC guys, man.
Yeah, you know it. I appreciate it. Hey, man. Hey, Adam. When you need me, if you need me on the show, man, you let me know, man. I'm cool to make that appearance.
Oh, definitely. Listen, when I start having guests, man, you know I'm hitting you up. But like everyone said, like I think people try to go too quickly into that whole thing and
take your time, man.
Trying to do it. I'm just gonna take my time and have fun. B&G Happy Hour. It's just gonna be about fun, relaxing. Look forward to you guys checking it out. So just go subscribe on YouTube right now. Get that subscriber bell. All right, guys.
Will do. All right. So hey, make sure, folks, subscribe to our podcast on Spotify, Stitcher, iTunes, and Google Podcasts. Search the Burgundy and Go. Search all Burgundy and Go Errrything with the Urban Sports Team. Also tweet us at Urban Sports Team. Hit us up on our Urban Sports Team Facebook page. Again, I appreciate my man Adam for being on. Mo, I always appreciate you. I love the love. I love the debate. Anyway, you've been listening to All Burgundy and Go Errrything with the Urban Sports Team on Fox Sports Radio 96.9 FM and 1340 AM. Hopewell, Virginia, for ages. You dig? Deuces. A mega. Lead us out, big homie.
Peace.